I need music, something that's like, free that I can start using in the event these sorts of things happen so that we can just have something to play while we're waiting for everybody to come back. So this is module 1, part 2 of the FemmePower masterclass. I could not go live on my laptop. I could not go live on my old phone. Like, the button was not even there. So we cooled my phone off that I normally always use, and we are going to trust that it is going to work. Oh my gosh, Marija is already glitching for you. Ugh. Okay. So, in the event that these sorts of things happen, people can get discouraged and you can be like, ugh, why is this happening? But I like to flip that script. I like to think that this is such a powerful transmission that what I have to give you and for you to receive today is so big that things are going to try and stop it. And so who I am in this moment is the woman who problem solves quickly, who tries a laptop, who tries an old phone, and when those don't work, who ultimately just waits for her awesome phone to cool off, and we try again. And if this glitches again and we have to try again, we will try again. So just know that I am the type of person who is here to deliver this content to you regardless of what obstacle comes in my way, whether it's a printer that's not printing or whether it's a phone that is too hot. I will get this content delivered to you, even if it is this evening when it's not so hot. So just know that I will be back, even if we glitch and it cuts off or what have you. I will be back. So, you get what you had or better. Yes. Linda and I had a one-on-one call yesterday and we had the most amazing conversation about the same or better. The same or better. Hello, Rachel. I see Elaine. I see Marija. Marija says, I can imagine the stress building up in my body as I tried to persevere around those types of obstacles. You know what, girl? A year ago, yeah. Today, I'm like, no. This message is so potent and so powerful that this is the resistance coming and I'm here for it. Like, I will be here. It doesn't matter. So, I'm good. I appreciate the understanding. Like, wow. But it's that potent. So, I'm here for it. Here we go. Elaine is here. Kyria is here. Hello, Rhoda. Hello, Linda. Yay. Okay. So, share this video, please. I know you shared part 1. This is different. So, I will give you the drawing entry for sharing part 1 and the drawing entry for sharing part 2 because this is that potent. I'm sure there are people in your world who need to see this video. Like 100,000% sure. So, Amy says she shared it. Thank you, dear. And if you would like the drawing entry, please do drop shared in the comments for me so that I can make sure I get that entry into the cup. Okay? Jenny says shared again. Thank you so much. Okay. So, I am Sarah. Nicole shared again. Thank you. I have 4 children and I have had 2 losses. So, I've had 6 pregnancies and this is significant to my story. Like, there are some people who have had energy moving, miscarriages, and it's just, they don't really talk about it. And I think part of that is like the paradigm, and part of it is privacy, and part of it is that it doesn't apply to their story, or they don't think that it applies to their story. Ooh, everybody is sharing. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Marija. Awesome. But it very, very, very much applies to my story. So I had a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and then I had a second trimester loss in 2015, and I also had a 10-week miscarriage in 2015. And then I now have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old after those losses. And I say these things, like I said, because it's very, very significant to my story and how I have arrived at the point of teaching about cycle syncing. Ooh, hello, Brooke. So if you are new to my world, if this is your first time ever seeing this woman on Facebook, if you have never seen me in your life before, please say new in the comments so I can welcome you into my world if you have not already said new in the comments. So I have been married for over 12 and a half years. We will be 13 years in October. Hi, Brooke. In 2011, we did a preconception diet. So we got married in 2009, and in 2011, we were like, yes, we are ready to open the door and explore the idea of having a baby. But I had been on birth control, and so I knew, I had read the pamphlet, I knew the risks that my body was already at for having been on birth control for any kind of time frame. It actually increases your risk of stroke, increases your risk of heart attack decades after you quit taking it. And so I knew these pieces, and I was like, okay, if it does that to my body, even if I'm no longer taking it, what could it do to a baby in my body? And so I was like, I would like to give myself 6 months off of it in order to give my body the best possible place to grow a baby. And then I started researching the husband's half of this, and I was like, you gonna do this diet with me, dude. And so June of 2011, we started this preconception diet after I had spent the previous 6 months researching all of the things that I might be deficient in, the ways to make sure sperm were the healthiest that they could possibly be, like all of these super nerdy pieces. And in order to come off of birth control, I needed to learn how my body actually worked so that we could give my body the 6 months of detox from the pill before we got pregnant. I didn't want to come off the pill and be pregnant the next month. I wanted to make sure I had that space first. And so that's what a lot of the foundation of becoming the cycle syncing coach, where it started, I guess, was like 2011 when I'm learning about how my body actually moves, how my hormones actually fluctuate, that my cycle is not just bleeding. My cycle is actually 28 days long with beautiful phases that move and change and are different in those 28 days. Bleeding, menstruation, is just a small piece of the whole of the cycle. And bleeding or not, you actually do have a cycle. Hormones or not, you actually do have a cycle. Even men have a cycle. I don't teach a lot on men's cycles, but I was asked that last week. Yeah, we went to Melodrama last week, and somebody's like, I actually babysat their daughter when I was like 12. And so I was talking to that couple and saying, sharing what I was doing with my life now. And the husband's like, wait, men's cycle? I want to know more about that. And so we had this beautiful conversation about how men cycle also. So that was where I really began learning about my body and what it does. And now I work with women who have children. I work with women who are pregnant. I work with women who are breastfeeding. I work with women who are in menopause or even post-menopause. I have one client who hasn't had a period in like 10 years. Your girl can still see the cycle, the pattern that she walks through. And it is freaking beautiful to see her magnetism show up, her creativity show up, her tying up loose ends show up, her introspection show up. It is so amazing to watch it across the board. And then I have women with teenage daughters who take what I have taught them and they share it with their daughters and they begin to apply it in their homes. And the harmony that comes in a mother-daughter relationship from cycle syncing is just, oh my gosh, I got chills in my whole body. It is amazing. I have one client whose daughter was having a long cycle, and just by doing a couple of key pieces that I had taught, they actually brought her daughter's cycle to the 28-day window that is ideal for the body. So I'm off my notes, but super amazing pieces. And like I said, use that lightning bolt emoji if this is resonating in a huge way for you. I want to know that there's something going off, like, whoa. So let's see here. And it worked. Learning how my body worked for having us not get pregnant for those 6 months of detox that I did want to make sure we gave our systems. And that was great foundational pieces that I wish were taught in a health class in high school or even middle school. Like, I don't know about you, but the changes program that I had in middle school was like, here's some scary photos of some STDs, but if you're going to have sex, here's a condom. Okay, thanks. I didn't get to learn how my body actually operated. Like, yeah, they showed me a picture of the uterus and the ovaries, but that was it. I didn't learn the beautiful rhythm, that the symphony really, that our hormones walked through, and how you were peaked for different things at different times. And so last year, when this brand began, I'm getting so ahead of myself. Let's just roll. Here we go. I don't have complete notes. We'll just go without them. For the most part. There's still my security blanket. But so when I started in the coaching world in 2020, I had this history of postpartum depression. So the first 2 live babies that I had, and then the 2 losses that we had, I had extreme postpartum depression, extreme postpartum anxiety. And so when I got pregnant again in 2017 with what would be our 5th pregnancy, you would think I would have been afraid of losing that baby. But I wasn't, because it was super overshadowed by the fear of postpartum depression again, and like actually fighting myself for life. And so 2017, while I was pregnant, that 9-month time frame was spent in research and learning how to not have postpartum depression after this baby was born. And it worked. And it worked. I had the most healing birth. I had the most healing postpartum. It was absolutely beautiful. And so when I started in the coaching world, like I said, in 2020, I was like, I want to help pregnant women prepare for a beautiful and amazing postpartum. And as I was in these circles where I was learning how to market myself and how to show up online and how to be a coach and all of these different pieces, hello, Laura, welcome into my world. I was becoming friends on social media with all of these amazing female entrepreneurs, and I was in close proximity with them, and I would watch them get super, super excited about whatever it was they were going to work on, and then, I just want to quit, this isn't working. And then they get super excited about whatever it was they were working on, and then, I just want to quit, this isn't working. And I knew exactly what was going on, because I had studied the female body as much as I had. I had studied our cycle phases as much as I had. And so I could watch and I could almost peg exactly where they were at in their cycles. And if you were in my world at that time, you may have received a couple of messages from me on Facebook going, hey, when's the last time you bled? Because I was checking to make sure that my intuition was correct in what I was seeing and how they were showing up on social media. And it was like 98% of the time, it was dead on the money. I had one friend who I've been friends with for like 7 years message me one night and she's like, talk me down. I'm going to get back together with my narcissistic ex. And he is. And I was like, are you bleeding? She said, yeah. I said, just go take a nap and a bath. And so I could watch these cycles happen in these people that were in close proximity to me. And so beginning of last year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to teach a cycle syncing course for the female entrepreneurs in my life so that they can run their businesses from a place of more alignment instead of feeling like they want to quit every couple of weeks and not knowing why, and then being excited about their brand all of a sudden again and not knowing why. And so in 2021, in February, I taught the first Beautiful Design course, and it was amazing. It was a 90-minute course. I did not stop talking for 90 minutes. I barely took a drink of water. Like, it was one thing after another after another. The comments were hopping, like lightning bolts going off, mind blown emojis everywhere, hearts flying like crazy. Like, it lit with these women. They completely understood the map basically that I was laying out, and they're like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Things like, this is the single biggest missing piece of my career got said. People that took that course have not taken another course from me, and they still message me today going, wow, this is amazing. I've got chills. I've got whole body chills right now. And so it was so incredible to watch that happen. And the course itself was on fire. And then everything like flatlined. Like there was nothing in the win thread. There was no questions coming in the Q&A thread. I was like, what happened? And my other phone that I tried to go live with was going off. Okay. I was like, what happened? And then 48 hours later, my inbox blew up. Like, Sarah, I don't understand this. Sarah, what's a luteal phase? I don't understand that. What about this? When does this happen again? I'm confused about that. And I'm like, oh, I spoke to you as if you had done all of the research that I did in 2011. You're missing the foundation piece that I did for myself in 2011. And so the cycle syncing coach was born. And what I did last year was I laid out piece by piece. This is what your cycle actually looks like. These are the phases of your cycle. This is when the veil is thin. This is when you're magnetic. This is when you're creative. This is when you create new relationships. This is what you eat by cycle phase so that you're actually nourishing your body in a way that it can continue when you need it to continue. This is how you work out by cycle phase so that you're not self-sabotaging when you set out to get in shape 2 weeks into your program. This is all of the individual missing pieces that they didn't have at all when I taught that first course in February last year. And so that's what 2021 basically was me laying all of these individual bricks of a cycle syncing world. Marie just says, gotta step out. Thank you for being here. I love you, babe. Thank you for sharing so much. I will see you in module 2. And so this was the beginning of the cycle syncing coach. And now I did all that research in 2011 and I got to know my body and I got to understand how it worked. But then in 2014, I started a network marketing business. I had been with the company for the previous 4 or 5 years, but I actually decided to pursue the business side of it in 2014. And so, like many network marketing models, the model was that you go to a friend's house and you teach to their friends and you sell them on whatever your product is. And then you go do it again and you go do it again and you go do it again. So I would get super, and let me know, let me know if you have done this. I would get super passionate and super excited about the products, about the message that I had to share. And I would, have friends that were like, yes, I will host. And I would set it up with them. And the day would come and the stress was high and the loading things in the car sucked. And I would get to the place and I would be exhausted and I wouldn't want to do it. But I'm a woman of my word. I am a woman of integrity. And so I am here and I am doing this. And I would deliver the course, the class that I had for this group of women that had gathered. And I had a 10% closing ratio because every cell and fiber of my being didn't want to be there that day. Unknowingly to them, unbeknownst to them, and unbeknownst to myself, I had repelled people that had basically showed up to buy my stuff because I didn't want to be there that day. Every cell in my body wanted to be at home that day. Does that mean I wasn't good at what I did? No. Does that mean I didn't love what I was doing? No. Does that mean the products didn't work? No. They're amazing. I still use them. I still have that business. What it meant was that when I was super excited and had lots of energy, I scheduled classes for 2 weeks out so people had time to market. And by the time I got there, I was at a point in my cycle where I didn't want to be around people. Does that cycle feel familiar to anyone? Well, you're looking at your calendar and you're like, yes, let's do this here and let's do this here and it's going to be amazing. And then you get there and you're like, what the frick was I thinking? I did this for so many years and it got to the point that it was too frustrating to do it. I still loved the products. I still had amazing testimonies. I have documents and documents and documents of testimonials that they work. But it got to the point that I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I took a course with a woman who was at the top of my company in 2017. And she taught me cycle syncing. She is an introvert, and she had gotten to the top of the company as an introvert. And I was like, this is my problem. I'm an introvert, apparently, because when I show up with people, I don't want to be with people. So I must be an introvert. So give me all the juice on how to build this business as an introvert, because I don't want to be with the people that I said I was going to be with. And so she taught me cycle syncing in this course. I was pregnant. This is 2017, remember? I was pregnant, and so I was like, well, that's all well and good, but I'm pregnant. I don't have a cycle. And she's like, oh, yes, you do, dear. And it looks like this. And I watched it work. That was the very, very beginning of my pregnancy that I took that class. And so I watched it work for almost 9 months. And it worked. And it was very, very speculative in the beginning. I was like, yeah, right. Oh, wow, she's right. Yeah, right. Oh, wow, she's right. And so when I hit like 7 or 8 months of pregnancy and we're planning the photo shoot, I planned it for the phase of my pregnancy cycle where my face was going to be the most radiant, where it was going to be the most clear, where it was going to be the most symmetrical. It changes throughout 28 days, by the way. And those photos were the best photos I had ever had of a pregnancy photo shoot up to that point. It was amazing. And that was like the final piece that was like, yes, this stuff works. I don't need any more proof. I see it. And I couldn't wait to move out of pregnancy, out of postpartum, and into a regular period again so that I could watch it work with my regular period again. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I watched it work, and it was freaking beautiful. And I could schedule classes, and I wanted to show up for them, actually, because I had planned them for the right time in my cycle, when I wanted to be around people, when I was magnetic, when they did want to come see me, when they did want to buy from me, when every fiber of my being was actually screaming, come to me, and every fiber of their being was like a siren going to me saying, yes, 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 yes. Yes, Casey. Face symmetry too. So, let me see how far along in these notes I am here. So, I was watching this work, and I could see it work, but I was in the infancy of learning how to trust myself. And so, I would look at my schedule, and I would plan the classes according to my schedule, not the Gregorian month, January, February, March, April, May, etc. I would plan it to my cycle, and then sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. And then the end of the month hustlers in my company would show up, and they'd be like, this is the last 5 days of the month, you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you want to, this end of the month hustle that has to happen, has to happen, has to happen. And I'd be like, yep, you're right, that needs to happen because it's the end of the month. Okay, let's do this, this, and this, regardless of whether it's aligned to my body or not. And so I was in conflict because I hadn't built the trust piece in myself yet. I'm 5 years out from that time, and I have watched those end of the month hustlers that did fantastic go through a cancer battle, almost lose their marriage. I wrote it down here. Have burnout, extreme burnout. Have adrenal fatigue so bad they can't get out of bed. And so in hindsight, I'm so thankful that I didn't jump on the hustle bandwagon and stay there. Like there was conflict in myself of follow my cycle, do the end of the month hustle. Follow my cycle, do the end of the month hustle. But at the end of the day, I'm so thankful that the majority of the time, I was trusting myself and I was trusting my cycle. I love how you put that, Casey. Thank you. I was in a season where I was actively healing PPD. I was actively healing postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. I was actively healing adrenal fatigue. I didn't need to pile more things onto that in this hustle culture. And I'm so thankful that I didn't. And so then I did have this beautiful, amazing healing postpartum in 2017 and again in 2020. Beautiful, amazing healing births and postpartums that healed the previous 4. Absolutely amazing. So let's do a hypothetical scenario here real quick with you. If you're in for the hypothetical scenario, drop scenario in the comments for me while I wet my whistle here. This is my red drink. Oh, it is so good. So many superfruits. I love it. Superfoods, not fruits. Some of them are fruits. Anyway. Okay, so say you decide to schedule something. It might be that, like me, you go to someone's house and you teach something. Awesome, Elaine. Thank you, Nicole. It might be that maybe you're hosting a birthday party, or your child is having a big milestone birthday party and you want to do this amazing bash for them. Or maybe it's a partner, or maybe you're planning an anniversary surprise for in-laws or parents or something like that. And the day approaches and you begin to feel some ugh energy. Why did I do this? And then the day comes and you're scrambling. And in spite of all the planning you've done, all the groundwork that you've laid, like you're not actually behind, like everything that was supposed to happen up to this point happened. It's not like you were procrastinating and put stuff off. And yet at the same time, it still feels like there's so much stress around this day that you wanted to be amazing. And now all of a sudden you're like, freaking go away. I don't want to do this today. You're exhausted and you're actually thinking that maybe none of the groundwork was even worth it. And that voice starts to creep in that maybe you're just not meant to host anything ever. I mean, it's not like you're doing things last minute, like I already said, but maybe you just aren't meant to host things. Period. You could cancel. You could say someone is sick. I mean, you're tired, you're stressed, you're exhausted. That could qualify as sick, right? There's this thing called chronic fatigue syndrome. Could cancel. Everyone would understand if I canceled. I could do that. But I'm a woman of my word. I have integrity. I'm committed. You said you would do this. I said I would do this. Worked hard up to this point. You don't want to have to try and do it again at a different time. So the day of, you go ahead and you keep going. You push through even though you're tired. Even though you've had more than one meltdown in your closet where you're just like freaking sobbing your eyes out, but it seems like after you have the meltdown, you have more energy, and so it's okay, like things are balancing out, right? And even though you'd rather go hide in your room and cry, even though, you go ahead and you make things happen. And then on the other side of it, you're thankful for the fun. You're thankful for the memories. You're glad that you did it. Everybody had a good time. That was a good part of that. You're proud that you gave yourself evidence that you are a woman of integrity, that you can do the things that you say you're going to do. That's good. But the memory is tainted. It's tainted by the fact that you cried multiple times. It's tainted by the fact that you had a stress headache halfway through the event. It's tainted by the fact that it didn't go how you hoped. And even though you managed it, it just didn't feel like you thought it was going to feel. The memory that you had so much hope for is tainted. Has anybody had this happen? Rachel says me all the time. Casey says my inner monologue out of your mouth. Deep down, you have not actually given yourself evidence that you can push through. You've actually given yourself evidence that you never want to host anything like that ever again. Ginger's saying me, Elaine's saying yes, yes, yes. And then a little while later, you're going, what's wrong with me? That was fine. I could host that again. We could do that right now. What was I thinking? I feel fine. Have you had that part happen? So I've got yeses for the scenario where you get to the day of and you're like, ugh. But then can you go like a week or so later and look back on it and be like, why did you stress out so much? Let me know if you've done that, where you look back at all of the horror that you felt like it was in the time and you're like, wasn't that bad. I could do that right now. Elaine says, you're just explaining my life all the time. Beautiful. Vicky's got her hand up. Awesome. Okay. So if you've had this happen, or if you've had this happen multiple times, I got yeps, wistful excitement. Awesome. Okay. This used to be my life. Like, plan an event, get to it, freaking hate every minute of it. A week later, in hindsight, be like, why was that such a big deal? It could be a totally fine thing to do right now. Why did you have such, a struggle with that? When this is happening, what feels like all of the time, it begins to drag you down in every area of your life, and it steals your joy. Because the moments, the birthday party, the anniversary party, the this, the that, the moments that are supposed to hold this amazing memory for you are tainted. And you begin to have no joy in the things that you're supposed to have joy in. The things that make life worth living don't have joy. And the narrative, the patriarchal narrative, is always low-grade playing. It's playing on social media, it's playing on your television, it's playing on your radio, it's playing in the people in your life that are maybe old school. It is always playing, and it's reinforcing this thought in your mind. This undercurrent is always playing that women are subpar, that you need fixed because you can't handle this. Statements like, if I could only be in integrity all the time instead of some of the time. Statements like, women are so flaky. You can be so good at consistency and then it's gone. What's wrong with you? That's the undercurrent that is always playing in our world. And when you're setting yourself up in these situations where you're excited, you plan the event, you do all the groundwork, you get to it, and it ends up tainted, those undercurrent statements just get reinforced by your own mind. Women are so fickle, and you're no exception. Just gets reinforced by your own mind. Rachel says, did you grow up in my family? No, but I grew up with a patriarchal paradigm like all of us. So those are always the low-grade background noises that our world gives us. And when we begin to pile evidence on that agrees with that, we begin to believe it. I'm flaky. I'm inconsistent. And when we believe it, we end up stuck. And then the things that seem like they should be so simple and so fun, again, have zero joy. Like, where have you been all of my life since I was 16? Elaine. So this was my experience for so many years. And it sounds like it's been a lot of your experiences also. So you see, women hold incredible power. That's why this is FemmePower Masterclass. It is knit into us from conception and even before. Inside each and every woman is the key to creating life. And now whether you choose to use it or whether your body is not well enough to use it, or for whatever reason you can't use it, it is still, the power is still there to create life. It may not look like a child. It may look like an amazing business. It may look like a novel. It may look like the most beautiful music anyone has ever heard. It can look a variety of different ways, but inside every single woman is the power to create life of some kind. And when you have a book that you've written, it takes on its own entity and it goes out into the world. It is a life that you have put out if you put out a book. You make a song and it moves people. It is a life that you have put out into the world. It doesn't have to be children. Every single woman has this life-creating power within her. And the patriarchy knows it. You have the power for music. You have the power for books. You have the power for businesses. And this is the part that is threatening. You have the power for paradigm shifts. You have the power for a different belief system. You have the power to ask why and what if, and then go find the answer. And if it's not what the patriarchy wants, you get shut down. My printer wouldn't work. My computer didn't have the program installed. And then my phone quit. That's your evidence today of what I'm saying. That's just today. And it's very, very minuscule in the grand scheme of things. I'm speaking to 16 of you. It's very minuscule in the grand scheme of things. And yet this message is transformational for the people that hear it today. The whole patriarchal paradigm is threatened by the potential that is housed in a woman's womb. So what better way to keep us in check and keep us from tapping our full potential and creating massive waves than to convince us that our very biology is broken? Fickle, flaky, inconsistent, untrustworthy. When in actuality, our womb, the thing that can create life in human form, book form, paradigm form, holds the power to move in big ways on this planet in the form of our cycle. Now, see, most people think that their cycle is 4 to 7 days when they're bleeding. That's a phase in a 28-ish day cycle. It can be 25 days, can be 35 days, a 28-ish day cycle. So that is phase 1 of 4. So drop it in the comments for me. If you know the 4 phases of your cycle, go ahead and put them in the comments for me while I make sure I can continue to talk. Lisa says, driving home, just cutting this one. Thanks, dear. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so on a 28-day cycle, day 1 is the first day that you have full blood. This is the menstrual phase of your cycle. It's also known as the winter of your cycle. Ginger says follicular, luteal, ovulation, bleeding. Menstrual, luteal, follicular, ovulatory. Awesome. Perfect. Lisa, don't text and drive. Be safe, dear. Thank you for the comment, but be safe, dear. So, day 1 is the first full day of blood, and that starts the menstrual phase of your cycle. It lasts anywhere between 4 and 7 days, and it's the winter phase of your cycle. See, women, this is again our power reflected. We mirror the moon, we mirror the seasons. It is so freaking powerful. And if we can just convince us that we're flaky and fickle, we can't touch our potential. Okay, Lisa, she says she's at a stoplight. Okay, the second phase of your cycle, or the spring phase of your cycle, lasts from about day 6 to day 12 or 13. This is the follicular phase of your cycle. From day 13-ish to 16-ish, and I say ish because we are in flow. We are women. We flow. We don't have hard and fast lines. We have soft, cushy lines, right? And so what might be my day 13 to 16 is your day 12 to 15-ish. This is the summer of your cycle, day 13 to 16-ish. This is your ovulatory phase of your cycle. And so what's physically going on inside of your body is your body is releasing an egg, and that egg actually is chemically calling to a mate. It is putting out pheromones going, come here, come hither. I hope you're laughing with me right now. And it's actually doing that to everyone. So this is when your facial symmetry is like at its best symmetrically, because that is very, very attractive to a mate. Every chemical in your body is calling to a mate. You are designed to create a baby at this point. Now, you can put that into creation of any kind, a book, a music, a paradigm shift, whatever you want to put that into. But everything chemically in your body is going, come here. Be careful, Linda. And then about day 17, you enter the luteal phase of your cycle, Luteal. And this is the longest phase of your cycle. And this is mirroring fall of your cycle. And it lasts until the day before you bleed again. And then we start over with winter, or the menstrual phase of your cycle. So the narrative knows the power that we hold, but it wants to keep us quiet in the same voice that says consistency is key. That day in and day out is paramount to success. That you move your body daily, that you eat well daily, that you date, and they have their own version of what eating well is daily, by the way. That you date your spouse weekly, that you read your Bible every day, that you do personal development every day. In order to stay consistent, you have to do these things every single day so that you can build consistency in your life. This is what the narrative tells us. It's a narrative that says it takes 21 days to develop a habit. Who has done a 21-day challenge to develop a habit? Raise your hand in the comments if you have done a 21-day challenge, whether it was a fitness challenge, whether it was a eating challenge, whether it was a writing challenge, whether it was a social media challenge. Raise your hand in the comments if you have done any kind of 21-day challenge with the sole intention of developing a habit of whatever it was. Okay, I got Jenny in the comments raising her hand. Elaine, Lisa, more than 10 times. Linda says, I started one. Exactly, she started one. So for all of us that have done that, you may make it through the 21 days. Linda's didn't even make it through the 21 days. And then about the day 30 or so, you're like, I thought that was supposed to be a habit now. What the heck happened? Oh, well, we went on vacation, or I got sick, or. So the 21 days to develop a habit didn't actually develop the habit. The consistency daily didn't actually develop the habit. And yet we'll go do another 21-day challenge because that's what they say works. At what point do we say, wait a minute, that didn't work, and it didn't work again, and it didn't work again, and you say, wait a minute, what's wrong with me, instead of saying, wait a minute, what's wrong with the 21-day challenge? What's wrong with this model that repeatedly doesn't work? Maybe it's not me. Lisa says she doesn't think she's ever completed any of them. Casey says, the shame of a dozen to-do lists and journals glaring at me in frustration. Oh, baby girl, and you are not alone. I bet everybody in the comments section could agree with you that they have something like that. And it's shame. It definitely is. And shame is very, very low on the energetic scale. If the paradigm can keep us low on the energetic scale, anything that we could reach in the form of potential is gone. Anything. So really quick, if this is resonating, guys, please do continue to share this video. I know you shared the first one. Please continue to share this video because you're not the only ones that this is going to, like, way resonate with. So, it feeds into the lie that you're flaky, that you're somehow flawed or broken because you did the thing for 21 days and yet here you are without the habit. All of a sudden, again, it serves to keep you pushed down. It serves to keep you stuck. Jenny says, I'm feeling like the spin bike in my living room is mocking me. Yes, we've all had that. I spent weeks deciding which one to get, the best way to get it, and I've rode it 3 times. We all have something like that. And this is where cycle syncing your fitness is amazing. Because when you know the best time to get on the spin bike, you actually feel like getting on the spin bike. And when you know that it's not the best time to be on the spin bike, you're not shaming yourself for not being on the spin bike. It's amazing. Nicole says, shared her epi story. Thank you. Okay. So, like all things, consistency is key. But it's the daily consistency key piece that trips us up. Consistency is key, but daily consistency leads to burnout and feeling like a failure. What you need to do is have consistency cycle phase by cycle phase by cycle phase by cycle phase, and this is how you honor you and actually build success. So it's this consistency by your seasons that will lead to massive growth, massive healing, and radically amazing, the radical, amazing, dreamy life that you have been desiring. Consistency phase by phase by phase by phase by season by season by season by season, not day by day by day. Casey says consistency to my needs, not their schedule exactly. Nicole says, for me, it's purchasing courses. I don't complete them. I start out very excited and then, girl, you are in the right place, darling. You are in the right place. Okay. So, but if you've never heard that you need to have consistency phase by phase, cycle by cycle, season by season, you can stay trapped in this narrative of, I failed, or I'm inconsistent, or I'm flaky, and you could never do what you were put on this planet to do. And the apparent only other option is either I stay inconsistent and flaky, or I push through and I end up burnout, possibly with cancer, possibly with adrenal fatigue, possibly with marriage problems, possibly with a child who's gone nuts because I haven't had time for him. Like, the narrative gives you the choice of be flaky and a failure or push through and have burnout of some kind. If we take those off the table and we say, wait, there's got to be another way, this is where cycle syncing comes in and is massively powerful. Elaine says, soaking up every word, you're changing my life. I have felt so burned out lately. Oh, darling, you are in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. This is exactly what the patriarchy wants. You burnt out, or you to have marriage problems, health problems, kid problems. Something that will keep you busy over here so you can't do the thing you were designed to do. Nicole says, I'm 12 months. Horrors. I'm 9 months pregnant right now, and I'm curious how to figure out phases when I'm not bleeding. I usually don't get my cycle back for at least a year postpartum. So, if you hadn't asked, y'all weren't getting this, but here you go. If you are not bleeding, watch moonrise. Now, there's a phase of moonrise that you're not going to be able to see because hopefully you're in bed asleep. But as often as possible, watch moonrise over the eastern horizon, or at least see where it's at in the sky during the day if you can't watch it rise in the evening. When you're watching moonrise, your body, your 28-day lunar mirror body will align to the lunar rhythm. And in that case, the new moon and a couple days before and a couple days after is your winter or your menstrual phase. The first quarter and a couple days before and a couple days after is your spring or your follicular phase. The full moon and a couple days before and a couple days after is your summer or your ovulatory phase. The 3/4 moon and a couple days before and a couple days after is your fall or your luteal phase. So in a 28-day cycle, your luteal phase is longer because your ovulatory phase is shorter. But if you're operating mostly from a lunar cycle, they're a little bit more even in a 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days setup. Lisa McCorkle is on here and she's had a partial hysterectomy. Moon phases changed her life. She says it's all true. I've worked with Lisa for over a year. She's been in she's been in every single program I have ran, and she will tell you day after day, time after time, that it works. Everything I'm teaching you works, whether you're bleeding or not. Okay. And that's where my notes end. So now we get to 4-wheel. Off-road. I'm actually going to log into my computer just so I am not missing any key points, because I want to make sure you guys can get every single piece of juice that I had for you originally intended. So here we go. Okay, so I talked to so many women who feel like they've failed but when we actually dig into it, they haven't failed at all. They had a season that was gonna happen anyway, because this is how they're biologically wired, and they were given the choice to push through or quit. The ones that push through feel yucky, and they have a long-term deposit in what I call their health crisis account, because you may not have chronic fatigue after pushing through 1 time. You may not have chronic fatigue after pushing through 5 times, but menopause may suck, even though that's 20 years away. That's your long-term health crisis account. When you push through, you make deposits into the long-term health crisis account. So that's option 1. The ones that quit have reinforced the undercurrents narrative that they're flaky and failures. Thank you so much, Lisa. She says, if you're having female problems or offs, Sarah Jordan is your person. She can help you understand all of it. Thank you so much, dear. So the freedom of this lose-lose situation arises when we recognize the incredible power that we as women hold and begins in our womb space and just radiates out. God, I got chills again. The freedom of this lose-lose situation is realized when we recognize our cyclical power, our FemmePower, and begin to use it for our lives. I started with just my business. And tomorrow you're going to hear about how it branched out into other areas of my life and how it made a dramatic shift. Dramatic shift. It is the antidote to burnout. Cycle syncing is. Cycle syncing is the antidote to frustration. Cycle syncing is the antidote to feeling like a flaky failure. It is what leads to empowered boundaries. It is what leads to empowered finances. Yes, I can actually look at my PayPal month without knowing where I was at in my cycles, and I can tell you where I was at in my cycle based on how much money I made in PayPal through a 4-week span. It leads to empowered finances. It leads to empowered decisions. It leads to empowered businesses. Like the female entrepreneurs that are in my world that are rising up are so amazing. And when they add the cycle syncing piece, they fly faster. They go so much farther. And they don't have to choose between quitting and burnout. It leads to empowered relationships. It leads to empowered communication. It leads to empowered parenting. Facts. It leads to empowered play. I had the most amazing date with my husband on Monday. Like, legit, we were on our way home and going, gosh, this feels like a high school date. Like that new energy, that infatuation energy, all of those pieces, and it is continuing today, 2 days later. It leads to empowered play. It leads to empowered womanhood. So what is cycle syncing, right? Sarah, you've sold me on it, but what the freaking crap is it, right? Okay. It is tapping into this incredible power that you hold inside of you, learning it, intuitively listening to it, and beginning to use it as your monthly calendar instead of the Gregorian month of January, June, July, August. You look at it from your 28-day cycle, not the 30, 31, or 28 days that is February, January, or August. When we as women begin to do this, we take our power back from the narrative, back from the patriarchy, and can actually begin to do what we are put on this planet to do. What you were called to do in this life. And I genuinely think that we all have a calling on our lives that is much bigger than we have ever fathomed. If only we can move through the pressure, the cage that the narrative wants us in, and tap into it. The consistency every day says start new things daily. It says make amazing video content every single day. It says work out this way daily. It says finish everything you begin when you begin it. It says learn daily. It says rest daily. It says do self-care daily. Some of these things are necessities, like eating well daily, moving your body daily, but let's move the body in a way that's honoring to the cycle phase that we're in instead of doing a HIIT workout every single day for the next 90 days. Doesn't make sense. Some of them will have much more potency when we use the cycle phase that is designed for that thing. For example, actually, before I do the example, I want to read Rachel's comment here because it looks amazing. This sounds so much of learning and unlocking a Proverbs 31 woman. Yes. 1,000 times yes. How many times have you read Proverbs 31 and said, oh my gosh, how can I do all of that? She cycle synced it. You can do it all when you cycle sync it. Okay, so example time. If I want to foster and create some amazing new relationships, and if I plan it for the late fall of my cycle, so the late luteal phase of my cycle, it's not going to go very well. Facts. What are you doing in October or November in the Northern Hemisphere? Drop it in the comments. What are you doing in October or November if you are in the Northern Hemisphere? March, April if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. April, May. You're cozy. You have a sweater on that is protective. Maybe even a big coat, depending on where you're at. Jenny says she's fishing. I love it. Historically speaking, you're not socializing. You're gathering the rest of the harvest to make sure you have enough food to get through the winter. Nicole says drinking tea, wearing scarves, raking leaves, cutting things back, getting ready for winter. Kiana says preparing for winter. You're beginning to hunker down for winter. It's the same in the fall of your cycle. Every 28 days, you have this happen. Whereas in the spring of your cycle, you are open to new life in the follicular phase of your cycle. Your body is preparing the ground to be planted with a baby. Every single month, whether there's one there or not, whether there can be the one there or not, your body's doing the motions of preparing it. New growth. You're open to new growth in the follicular phase of your cycle. You're open to new relationships in the follicular phase of your cycle. You're actually chemically in your brain ready to learn new things and begin to implement them. If you want to plan a time to network and foster new relationships and you plan it for the fall of your cycle, you're going to be running for the corner after meeting just a few people. And again, you're going to be thinking, what's wrong with me? You're going to have a shield up to guard yourself. And what could have been an amazing connection is not going to be, because you have this shield up to guard yourself because it's fall. And in actual fall, you would have a coat on. You have a shield up to guard yourself in the late fall of your cycle. Your chemistry, whereas if you plan it for the spring of your cycle, you actually want to be there. Your chemistry is actually sending out the come talk to me vibe. Let's get to know one another vibes. Let's create this new relationship. Hey, maybe we could do a collab. Hey, maybe I could connect you with my network and you could connect me with your network, and this could be an amazing thing. It could be the most powerful connection that you could have possibly made, but because you planned it for the fall of your cycle, you don't make the connection. Every cell in your system is more aligned to that task in your follicular phase and your ovulatory phase. Now, does that mean that you can't do it in the fall of your cycle? No, you can. You can go. You will be drained at the end of it. You will not make the amazing connections you could have made. You may make a couple of them, but it won't be as powerful as it could have been. It will feel forced to some degree. Possibly you'll wear out sooner than you would have. Maybe you won't make those stellar connections that you could have. The point is that you would be better suited to be at home on the couch with a cup of rasa doing some amazing self-care, or at least getting ready to do some amazing self-care when winter actually comes. I don't necessarily need a massage when I go get one, but I know that it's good for my body and it's self-care. So even if you feel like you're the type of person who could show up in late fall and you could be amazing and you could do all the things that you need to do, that doesn't mean that it is best suited for your body at that time. We don't want to be making deposits in our long-term health crisis account because we feel like we could do it today. I'm going to go get a massage to love on my circulatory and my lymph system, regardless of whether I have a sore muscle today. I'm going to honor my cycle phase, and because it's the fall of my phase, I'm not going to go network today. I'll wait till my follicular phase and plan something then. Because I'm going to honor myself now so that I'm not making those long-term health crisis deposits. Is the same is true of cycle syncing as it is with the massage. So as women, we have proven that we can do anything a man can do bleeding, right? That has been like a mantra of the last 50 or 60 years. I can do anything a man can do bleeding. We have proven that. And you know what we have as the proof? Women across the board are 30 to 50% more sick than men. And it's not just female things like endometriosis. We are 30 to 50% more sick than men when it comes to cancer diagnosis, when it comes to chronic fatigue syndrome, when it comes to thyroid problems. Across the board, women are 30 to 60% more sick than men, and it's because we have taken ourselves as flaky humans and we've put ourselves in a male pattern 9 to 5 world and said, I have to be the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And because I've pushed through for the last 6 decades, we are stacking health problems on us and our children generationally now because we haven't been honoring ourselves. I don't know about you, but that stops with me. And you're going to hear a lot more about that tomorrow because I have generational motherhood wounds that you're going to hear about tomorrow. Nicole says, so are men also tied to the moon cycle, like you mentioned, non-ovulating women? No. So a man's cycle mirrors the sun. Woman's cycle mirrors the moon. We are yin and yang. Woman's cycle mirrors the moon in that it's 28 days. Male cycle mirrors the sun as in it's 24 hours. Now, there's some shifts that can happen in that within like quarters and years because you always have, you have a cycle in an hour, you have a cycle in a day, you have a cycle in a week, you have a cycle in a month, you have a cycle in a year, you have a cycle in 49 years, 7 years, etc. And the men feel these bigger cycles too, but as far as like a consistency cycle, theirs is every 24 hours, which is why the male pattern world is 9 to 5, and you need to be the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow because I am, as a man. So it is time that we take our power back and we prove that we can do anything a man can do on our time, in our unique feminine way. And that when we are best suited to self-care, we self-care. When we are best suited to creating new relationships, we create new relationships. When we're best suited to tying up loose ends, we tie up loose ends. And when our bodies are best suited to creating new relationships, we create new relationships. Okay, I said that. Let me check time. Okay, we're good. Elaine says, this is amazing. I'm so glad, dear. Okay, so that is the training piece. Now, if you want to stay with me and hear how you can get like deeper into my world, deeper into this cycle syncing world, you're like, oh my gosh, this was amazing, I want to know more, I'm going to tell you all of the different ways that you can work with me. If you're like, I feel complete, thank you, Sarah, for this time, you may go ahead and leave and just know that the rest of this is how you can work with me at this point. Do please continue. Actually, let's draw a name first. Okay, so continue to share the I'm in graphics. Tag me, but guarantee yourself the drawing entry by screenshotting it and putting it in the win thread in the FemmePower group, okay? It'll be in the guide section. I think it's like guide 11 or 12. It'll say FemmePower. And if you have not registered for this course, like you happen to see this because a friend shared it, please register for it. The link will be in the comments as soon as I am done here. Please register for it so that you know where the other 2 modules will be. There's a module tomorrow at 5 Eastern, and there's a module on Friday at 5 Eastern, and they are not in the same place. So be sure to register for the event. And let's draw a winner of a free 30-minute one-on-one with me. Who's it gonna be? Lacey Roach. If somebody can tag Lacey in the comments, that would be amazing. Lacey Roach, you have a 30-minute one-on-one with me. Ooh, I'm so excited about that. So, in part 1 of this training today, somebody won 77 coaching dollars, and now Lacey Roach has just won a free 30-minute one-on-one session with me. That's $222 basically that I just gave away to her. So it's almost $300 that I just gave away. So please continue to share. You can share this live video, share it in the comments so I can get your name in the cup and share the I'm in graphic. Now, I guess I can set my computer down. My notes are done. Okay. So yes, congratulations, Lacey. So this is the cycle syncing world. It is my life. Like it is, like, these are my cycle syncing earrings. I have a beautiful necklace that really didn't go with this shirt, which is why I took it off, but it's got moons on it and selenite. Like it is my world. My husband knows to check with me about my cycle to know if we're going to go do this or that. So this week in particular, we have swimming lessons every single morning this week. We have karate Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and I'm working sandwiched in the middle of that. Same thing next week. This would not work the week after that. I would be a bawling mess on the floor. I would be like, you got to take some time off, hubby, and take them to swimming lessons or take them to karate because I'm zapped. I can't do it. Because I knew where I was going to be at in my cycle, I planned accordingly so that I can now feel like I can handle this. I am empowered in this place of, yes, we can add swimming lessons for the next 2 weeks to our already full schedule because I know mama's energy is going to be able to hold that. Had I done it in 2 weeks, I'd be beating myself up because I'm flawed, flaky, inconsistent, failure. So if you want to come into my world and learn more about cycle syncing, I have programs that I run regularly. I have short ones that if you catch them at pre-sale, typically start at $177. I have longer ones that if you catch them at pre-sale, they typically start at $333. And then I have something called the Content Collection. The Content Collection is $555 per month, and you get every course that I do run for the next 12 months. So it is a 12-month commitment. There is a pay in full option that saves you a couple $100 if you so desire. But so right now, the courses that I have open is the conversion micro course. We're looking at taking your audience from audience to cash. That is open for another week and a day. The next one after that is called Staged, and we're looking at going into audience growth mode, not from a day-to-day-to-day basis, but from a cycle synced place, a place of alignment where creating new relationships goes well, and where creating new relationships is not the thing to be doing this week. So that is Staged. It is currently at, let me think. I think it's currently at $333. It might be $444. I'd have to look. So that is the Staged course. It will be a 4-week-long course, and that's what's coming. I think we're opening it next week. All that to say, in July, we're going to do a short course and a long course all about funnels. Now, if you're like me at all, funnels freak you out, or at least they used to, because I was like, I don't get this, that you got like bots and all this automation, and I don't understand code, and I don't get this. So I'm breaking down funnels in July from a place of total ease, total simplicity, and total cycle synced alignment. That's what we're doing in July. In August, there's a short program and a long program all on copywriting. So copywriting is like post creation for Instagram and for Facebook. And so we're looking at copywriting from a cycle synced perspective, because you've got people that will tell you 2 different ways to copywrite. They will tell you to write something every single day. And then you have others that will tell you to write all of your content on like the first of the month so that you have everything you're going to post throughout the month. The cycle syncing coach is going to tell you that you can do that, but the energy behind it sucks. Because what you wrote on the first of the month is not going to be in alignment with what you want to post on the 14th of the month. It just doesn't work that way. So we're going to look at how to be consistent daily with your copywriting, but also be honoring to yourself and the point that you're at in your cycle as you're writing copy. So that is August. September-ish, might be later because we have a trip planned, but September-ish, my life is in flow. There's a lot of ish. We're doing a coach program. So if you have 0 aspirations to be a coach, it's okay. It'll help you with your kids. It'll help you with your spouse. There's a lot of communication pieces that go into becoming a coach, and they apply across the board. So that is coming this fall. La Femme 2.0. So I mentioned La Femme at the beginning of today. It may have been in part 1. I don't remember. I think it was in part 2. But it is the integral pieces of womanhood that we should have been taught in health class, but we were not. So that is coming later this year. It's La Femme 2.0. So I ran 1 last year, and I have portal pieces. As you go from one phase to the next, there is actually a portal that happens, and it is very, very, very powerful. And so I'm adding the portal pieces to the original content of La Femme, and I'm so excited for that to happen. So that's coming later this year. All of that is included in the content collection, as well as anything that I run, in 2023. I haven't mapped that out yet, but that's okay. It's coming. Is included in the content collection at $555 per month. If you manage to catch the pre-sale on everything, all the programs that I put out, you're going to spend over $600 a month. So this saves you money, and it guarantees you a spot in every program that I run for the next 12 months. So that is the content collection. Next, I have resonance for you. Resonance is every program I ran last year. So you get the original La Femme, you get how to work out by cycle phase, you get what to eat by cycle phase, you get how to run a business by cycle phase, you get all of that. Oh, let's see. And what I ran this year. So I did a course on your spouse and you by cycle phase. It's called In the Mood. I did mindful motherhood. So how to mother by cycle phase, basically, because it changes. Like there's things that I guaranteed will do with my kids this week when my energy is high. And there's things that I know I'm not going to schedule in 2 weeks because it would be a disaster and we'd all be crying. That's in mindful motherhood. So you get every program. There's like 25 of them in my vault right now. And you get every program that I run. So everything I talked about before in the content collection, everything I run for the next 12 months and everything I've already ran. So 25 plus programs inside of Resonance. Resonance is $888 per month, or it is $10K paid in full. So if you wanted to just be like, yep, I'm in there like swimwear, $10K paid in full, you saved some money, and you have a guaranteed spot in every course that I run for the next year, and you have everything that I already ran at your fingertips to go through at your leisure. And you get a VIP day per month. So 1 day per month, I open up a Zoom room for everybody that is inside of Resonance, and you can get laser coaching, you can ask questions, you can get clarity around your specific cycle. Like, it is gold. It is like a $444 value in and of itself. It's amazing. So that is Resonance. And then you have the Beautiful Rhythm Mastermind. So the Beautiful Rhythm Mastermind gets you access to everything I've already said. You're in the VIP day, you're in all of the programs, you have the content vault, and you have access to me Monday through Friday in Marco Polo, along with the other women that are in the Beautiful Rhythm Mastermind. So, like, something happens, somebody blew up, you want to fire somebody, you want to quit, you can jump in Marco Polo and be like, Sarah, I'm at this point in my cycle, this is going on, what the freaking crap do I do? And we can coach through it right there in real time inside of Marco Polo. That for the whole year, because it is a 12-month commitment, is $22,222 paid in full, or I believe it's $1,999 per month if you wanted to do it per month. Very amazing value, because I do work with female entrepreneurs a lot. And when you learn to run your business like this, your business will explode fast. So excited about the Beautiful Rhythm Mastermind. So if any of those things resonate with you, please jump in Messenger and I will get you links for all of them or whichever one of them that you want. But I do want to add this. The first 2 people that jump in Resonance in the next 24 hours, 22 hours between now and the next module of FemmePower is going to get a one-on-one call with me, 60-minute one-on-one with me on Zoom. You can use it whenever you want to in the next 12 months. So you can just get in there like swimwear and be like this, 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 and this, or you can save it until you've gone through some of the content and you have a better grasp of what cycle syncing is, and then you can bring me your specific questions in that. So the first, did I say 2? I'm going to say 3. The first 3 people that jump in Resonance will get that 60-minute call with me. This expires at 5 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern, when we do module 2. So Nicole says, do you sell any of your old courses a la carte? I have been known to do that, Nicole. I don't do it very often. So jump in Messenger and talk to me about that, okay? If you are not already registered for this course, you do not know where modules 2 and 3 are going to be at, please register for the course so that you know where those are. Continue to share the I'm in graphic, and I cannot wait to see you all tomorrow for module 2, where you hear the physical side of my story and how powerful that is.